Let's find a good old podcast. Drive through, no. Something to wrestle, no. Insight, no. Wrestling report? What is this?
Hello, I would like to take you on a journey into the world of professional wrestling. This is the Wrestling Report.
Alright, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Wrestling Report, where I talk nothing but my passion, and that's wrestling. Wrestlemania Night 1. So, this is a pretty monumental episode for me, because not only did I just hit my 10th episode, but this is my first ever WrestleMania, covering it as a fan, as anything that I'm, I guess, calling myself when I'm doing this. I'm just a fan at heart, number one. And it's just kind of cool to know that this is my first one on the call. But I am super intrigued by the fans. The fans have driven two different narratives, I believe, for this WrestleMania, and I'll get into what those narratives exactly are. But I think that this show could have done better for what was advertised. We will get into that. Do I think that it was the worst WrestleMania I've ever seen? No. I have seen worse. I have been worse. It's just recency bias. Regardless of if it's positive or negative, recency bias is a very real thing. But the point is that this WrestleMania could have done better. We all know that. And I'll get into what they could have done to make this better, and why I believe Night 2 will probably end up being better anyway, just based on the historic implications of it all. But we'll kick off WrestleMania 42. The show of shows. The spectacle of spectacles. Many fans have started to call it Ad Mania because of all the commercials that were in this match. I believe, I'll get into one of my few criticisms of this. I believe that the matches as a whole all felt too fast. If you want to deliver a WrestleMania-worthy match, chances are they're not going to be something that goes up to 10 minutes. And I believe that that's what a lot of these matches were. A lot of these matches were forced. A lot of these matches were just kind of rushed. And I feel like what could have been 4 to 5 star matches ended up becoming 3.5 to 3 because of just the time of it. If they were given an extra 4 or 5 minutes, I believe that people, including myself, would have different opinions of this. But it's also, we're missing the pre-packages before these matches. We're missing the explanation of why this match is happening. We're missing the story. We're missing the hype. We're just throwing the matches together back to back without any sort of explanation. And that has never been something that WWE has ever done. And that I'm not a fan of in the slightest. These promo packages not only give people a job, because someone has to go and make them, but they also make the product and the thing we're watching so much more interesting. Especially if you're still trying to get new eyes on the product. You got to give the people a reason. You got to give the people the story as to why it's happening. You can't just assume that everybody watched the Road 2s on YouTube and saw all the stories unfold. You can't just assume that. You have to explain to the casual viewer who has never watched it before. You have to explain the story. Otherwise, it's just happening for no reason and it's confusing. So those are my two major critiques. Things were too fast and things were not storyline driven. I don't think. At least when it came down to the brass tacks. But I'll kick off with what kicked off the entire show, which is the Usos and LA Knight versus the Vision and iShow's Speed. Again, this match was super, super, super quick. So I didn't really have anything to take from it, positive or negative, right? Because I think, it really should have had more time, but I think Speed being involved in this match was exactly how he needed to be. He ended up being the dark horse in the match, but not for what I was thinking. I was thinking that he was going to end up helping the Vision win. But it turns out the Vision ended up turning on Speed and knocked him out. And Logan Paul was about to put him through a table. But LA Knight got Speed. They picked him up, brought him into the ring, and Speed hit his own frog splash onto Logan through the table. And just the height that he got on that was absolutely incredible. The kid's got everything that it takes if he wants to pursue it. He obviously doesn't have to. He's a super popular streamer. He goes all around the world. He does all these different things. He's not tied down to any one thing. If he wants to do professional wrestling, I believe it's an avenue he can explore. Just based off this night alone, right? And I think a lot of people would agree. I think he wasn't offensive in the match. I think he did what he needed to do at the points he needed to do it. And it helped drive the narrative and helped drive the story like I figured it would. Just not in the way I was exactly picturing. But at the end of the day, the Usos and LA Knight got the win. LA Knight got the pin, mind you. Not only did they win, but LA Knight got the pinfall victory. So that's huge for LA Knight. Bro loses on the daily. I'm surprised he won here. This is very good. I can only hope that this propels LA Knight somewhere, but this is ultimately kind of a filler card match that could have been on Raw, right? Like, I don't think this is going to be doing too much for LA Knight going forward, but I'm just ultimately happy he got a win here. Guy hardly gets wins as it is, so I'm just happy he got one here. Jacob Fatu and Drew McIntyre in an unsanctioned match. This thing was something. They did deliver. They did deliver in the 15 minutes or so that they had. They delivered. These two guys beat the shit out of each other, just like how you would have expected from the jump. Of course, do I wish it could have went on a little longer? Sure. That's what I'm going to say for all of them. Because ultimately, I think 20 to 25 minutes is your sweet spot for a wrestling match. Especially with the right people involved, you can really tell a great story with it. Ultimately, though, I think these two did utilize a lot of different ways of using weapons, and Drew posting on Twitter during the match is now becoming a tradition. Like, at this point, like, next year I'm expecting Drew to post a tweet mid-match. It's what he does now. But overall, I think it was like an absolutely excellent unsanctioned match. I just think it should have went on longer. That's ultimately what's plaguing a lot of these matches. But the right guy won. Jacob Fatu ended up getting the victory here. I just think it benefits him a lot more going forward. Drew is always going to find a way to be over. Drew's always going to find a feud to sink his teeth into because we all love Drew. And so no loss at WrestleMania is going to change that. And so there's nothing that's going to impact him too much when it comes to, what this loss will do. It's not going to do too much to hurt him. And hopefully this will do only but wonders to get Jacob Fatu where he needs to be in terms of a world title scene, or I don't know, being a top guy. I think that's all that he's been calling up to be, since he's come in. I think people have wanted him in that spot for a while, so this is one step closer to that. But ladies and gentlemen, we did have a prediction that went right, but it was the most obvious and maybe one that people were expecting. But we had a 8-woman tag team for the the Women's Tag Team Championships. And we get through the Irresistible Forces. We get through Charlotte and Alexa. We get through Bayley and Lyra. And so then we get to the Bellas. And we see, indeed, that Nikki Bella is on some sort of crutch with some sort of brace. For the whole pre-show leading up to it, they were still having her booked for the match. So the whole rumors about Paige not coming back Paige coming back were seemingly kind of in the water at this point. Because, sometimes they would announce before the show that Nikki can't compete, or other times they've found other ways to introduce a surprise, but this one was unique. So they had us believe the whole time that Nikki was going to work this match, and she never did. So she came out in these crutches, and she said she called up an old friend to help her out. And that old friend that we haven't seen since 2000, I think 18 was the last time. 2018, I think. 19, whatever. During COVID era. I might be wrong. COVID era. Like 2021. But anyway, the point is, it's been a while. So we have seen Paige return to the WWE. The rumors were true. The rumors that were spiraling all around the wrestling internet yesterday, are entirely accurate. She did come back. She got a major pop. And she came back to her old song, which is very nice. I haven't heard that ditty in a long... I shouldn't say ditty anymore. Ditty's kind of a bad word to say at this point. No ditty. This was really something special. Because I think to see the Bella Twins, to see Paige, to see AJ Lee in the same women's division again is kind of crazy, right? Like, now that Paige has come back, this women's roster is absolutely stacked. You've got women from the past, you've got women from the present, you've got women of the future. There, I don't think, has ever been a time in professional wrestling history where there's been such interest in the women's division. And that's a lot because of the women's revolution and all that took place there. But because everyone of the past, present, and future has played a role in making the women matter and making the women more important on the television. And I don't know, seeing all these people that I grew up watching that used to be called divas, now in their 40s somewhat, looking back and saying we helped make this happen. It's just a cool full circle moment for Paige. Her AEW run wasn't as great as she probably wanted it to be, and I don't know how great her run will be the second time around in WWE, but as a result of her coming back, she's already become a tag team champion. That's right. Paige and Brie Bella, the makeshift tag team, the surprise tag team, ended up winning the tag team championships. This completely blew me away. I thought, even though Paige came back, she certainly wasn't going to take a pin, but I certainly thought that we were going to keep Nash. like Kevin Nash, Lash, and Nia. I thought we were going to keep the titles on them, but I like the decision because it opens up so many different possibilities for the future. You've immediately got something for Paige to do. I can imagine that Nikki Bella is going to start to sniff a little the jealousy haterade and start figuring out how the hell I got to get myself back involved. I can see that happening in the future. This just opens up a storyline, an avenue for Paige right off rip. And that's good. Giving her something to do. And she is now the new half of the new women's tag team champions with a fellow returning Brie Bella. So, overall, I wanted to see the Bellas win the tag title since they returned. Ultimately, these are different circumstances, but I'm still happy for them, and I'm still, of course, happy for Paige. I hope that she can have success here on this second run, because Lord knows she deserves it. She's been through too much in the wrestling world, and I don't know, most people would have already quit with all the things she's been through in a short period of time, but she's managed to keep going, so I respect the hell out of it. I do. Becky Lynch and AJ Lee. This was one of my more surprising predictions. I wasn't expecting this match to go the way it did. I think they had a good match. I think we've seen this match a few times before, so ultimately, I think we were all looking for that final piece to this puzzle, right? And I guess on the match part they delivered, but I'm curious as to the finish. So Becky becomes the new Intercontinental Champion. She won the Intercontinental Championship. But it questions in my mind why we even gave AJ Lee the title to begin with, right? Other than the fact that Elimination Chamber was in her hometown in Chicago, and that's what they wanted to do for her at that particular night. I don't know, right? Or if it's told, or if it was done to enhance the story for WrestleMania. I don't know. I do love Becky as Intercontinental Champion. That's not necessarily my issue. I was just kind of expecting more out of this AJ Lee run, and I don't know. She kind of just got the title, right? Like, maybe they're trying to get her ready for the world title scene when she comes back. I'm not sure. They got all kinds of plans for people. My voice is so shot. Okay, my apologies for that. I had to get some water. And I don't know if it's going to necessarily change anything. But boy, oh boy, my voice is shot. I don't even know what's going on. I don't know. But Gunther and Seth Rollins is my next match. That was the next matchup. And this thing was a classic from the jump. These guys were hitting hard. The chops were coming. The power bombs. Gunther was hitting Seth with a power bomb off the apron, a la Kevin Owens. It's like, this thing was brutal. And it delivered on all the stops. And I think that this match stole the show, primarily because these two guys, it's impossible to come up with a bad match with these two. These two are the best in the world. And so, you gotta just work around that. And that's ultimately what can help save a story, too, is if the match delivers. Because most people have said, this match has stolen the show. And this match was great. Even though it had minimal to rushed storytelling, right? Because of what they had to adjust to. But I'm glad they got Braun Breaker back, because this was the highlight of this thing. Braun Breaker came back and speared the boots off of Seth Rollins. This is huge, because the Vision has lost all of their manpower, and Seth clearly was supposed to fight Braun, and that never happened. But now that he's back, now that we know for sure, Raw will be a very interesting spectacle. And I will be very intrigued to see what happens next. because Braun and Seth is the real feud we want to see, and now we get to finally see it. I'm glad that Braun Breaker's happy and healthy, and he seems ready to go. So I'm super excited for what that will bring, and I'm super excited for what the Gunther and Paul Heyman thing will bring. Because my theory could still hold true if Gunther eventually tells Paul, look, I want to retire your client. I want to retire your beast, Brock Lesnar. Because listen, man, Gunther has tried to have factions. He's tried to have allies. But Gunther, ultimately, is a man on his own. And so he's not going to be a Paul Heyman guy. He's not. He's going to use Paul Heyman for something, and it'll ultimately end up being for that opportunity to retire Brock Lesnar. Because he calls himself the career killer, it's what he does. I can imagine that being a result of this WrestleMania. I'm not sure, though. That's just my prediction. But then we get to Liv Morgan and Stephanie Vaquer. At this point, I was even Steven. I had gotten the same predictions right as I got wrong. So I was really banking on myself to be right for this particular match. And I was, right? But I'll get into all that. Liv Morgan comes out with her trouble, trouble. It's me. I've heard that so many times this week because of the music video that she released before WrestleMania. And so she actually does like a live rendition of the music video. And so I figure absolutely this girl's winning the title at WrestleMania. It just feels like she had a new theme. She has new entrance videos. She has new lighting. She has new music. All of it. She has a new look, a new style, new attitude. This is a Liv Morgan that wasn't going to lose in this moment. Despite how much we love Stephanie Vaquer, the road for her was eventually going to end. And I think that this was the match to do it, right? And I also believe that we can build off of this, right? Because this feud, unlike the others, kind of got built around WrestleMania, right? The other ones have been built before WrestleMania. So you can maybe even for later on, you can build this thing out and keep it going because people have loved this feud. And if they keep going with it, it could be a great feud. It could be one of the better feuds. But if they don't, I don't know where they'll necessarily go with Liv. But she is the new women's world champion. She beat Stephanie Vaquer in under 10 minutes. It was a 9-minute match. It was exactly 9 minutes. And she wins the world title. And Daddy Dom was there by her side, and she seemed quite happy. I don't know what this means for the future, but I'll tell you this. I have to start saying she was eyeing it. You could tell right in her face. She was looking at it, looking back up, looking down at it again, looking back up. She is eyeing that championship that Liv Morgan just won. Obviously, they're not going to do something just yet. But that's a little subtle thing that if you're an active veteran of watching wrestling, I guess, that you find those things and you point them out. Raquel absolutely was eyeing that title the whole time. Whether it be for storyline purposes or real life purposes, she was staring that thing down. So I'm curious to see what that'll end up becoming. And I think it's now time, maybe, to break out that Holy Judgment Day turmoil, just in case. We'll talk about more of that, in our predictions for tonight's WrestleMania. But then, ladies and gentlemen, we get to our main event. We get to Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. And I have a few problems. One of them being Pat McAfee. And I think a lot of people probably agree with me. But I like the fact that we take him out in the beginning of the match. Because my biggest concern going into this was that Pat was going to be the instigator and the reason as to, or the underlying cause. And so when I saw that, I guess Jelly Roll took him out, I figured, all right, well, maybe we won't see Pat. And that sets up the Backlash match. That's inevitable at this point. We will probably get Cody Rhodes and Jelly Roll versus Randy Orton and Pat McAfee. It is just something you have to accept at this point. I don't know, right? It's seemingly inevitable. It just is. So I thought, okay, maybe they won't interfere in the main event. So for the most part, they didn't, right? These two had a classic match. Blood was being shown. Both guys were busted open. It really was a good main event. But what really drove me nuts was when Pat McAfee rolled back into the ring. Randy Orton got poked in the eyes, and so he didn't see where he was. He had blood in his face. And so he RKO'd the referee, thinking it was Cody Rhodes. As a result of this, Pat McAfee comes running out with a neck brace and tries to make a pin on Cody, but it's unsuccessful. So now Pat is directly getting involved in this decision, and I don't like it at all. So as this match was nearing its conclusion, Randy Orton ends up hitting Pat with an RKO, which shocked me. And then Cody Rhodes ended up taking advantage of this, hitting Randy Orton with the Crossroads and retaining the WWE Championship. So Cody not only retained the WWE Championship, but after this, Randy Orton is not happy. So he beats up Cody Rhodes and hits him with a move we have not seen in 5 to 6 years. He hits Cody Rhodes with a punt to the skull and just knocks him in the head. And so Cody's left laying. Randy Orton's got the title in his hand, looking menacingly with blood on his face, down on Cody Rhodes as the night's over. And so I have like 3 questions off the rip. Why did Randy have to lose? Why did Cody get punted in the skull? Why did Randy Orton lose? Like, if this was a finish you were gonna go with, if your idea of this finish was to have Randy Orton destroy Cody Rhodes after the fact, then he should have won the title to do so, right? Unless Cody's going to be coming back on Friday after a punted head. WWE throughout history has always used that punt kick by Randy Orton as a death sentence. You were gone for months if you were hit with a punt kick. And so now are we going to see Cody on SmackDown? Like, or is he going to take time off? Like, what does this mean for the championship? Realistically, he'll probably be on SmackDown on Friday. And to me, I don't know, I guess that just takes away the specialty of that punt kick, right? Because if you can just recover from it in a week, then shit, what's the point of it, right? It's not as devastating as it used to be. And I think that's my biggest concern going into SmackDown going forward, is that even though Randy hit a punt kick and it looks super cool, it doesn't change the fact that he didn't win. And it doesn't change the fact that Cody Rhodes will probably be champion on Friday, walking out. I mean, you know, we made Randy Orton look as strong as possible without winning the title. I just don't know how that happens, and I don't know why that happens. That's where I'm confused. It just felt like everything, momentum-wise, build-wise, story-wise, everything about it was building towards Randy Orton being a 15-time champion. And I just don't know where this will go. But, I mean, I don't know. Other than Backlash and a tag match, I could see it going to SummerSlam, right? I could see this thing being the feud of the year. There's something that they're going to try and push all the way out till SummerSlam. I don't know, but the safe bet won, right? They picked the safe pick. Cody Rhodes is still your WWE champion, and we're left with so many different questions that I don't think Night 2 will even be able to answer, right? Because it's a whole nother set of matches, a whole new set of stories. But I don't know. Overall, this show could have been better, right? I think everybody can agree on that. Do I think it was the worst WrestleMania I've ever seen? No. Do I think Night 2 will be infinitely better? Yes. Each Night 2 ends up being better. Usually, right? 9 times out of 10. But no, this is definitely not the worst WrestleMania I've seen. Could there be far less advertisements? Absolutely. Could there be far less commercials? Absolutely. But the reality is, in anything, there's commercials. It just is what it is, right? But WWE can obviously do their best to try and make their experience more palatable. And so having a few promo packages before a match, having maybe a few backstage segments, that is more worth it, I guess, than an ad about Charmin Ultra Soft, right? But they pay the money. They pay them the money. They pay them big bucks to have their name and brand sponsored. And, you know, if you're trying to be a global company, you're going to have sponsors. They've had sponsors. They've always had sponsors, but never to the extent that it is now, right? Never has there been a million different sponsors plastered around the entire arena. Usually you've been like one or two, right? But I don't know. Night 1 wasn't the best. I'd probably give it a 6.5. I don't know, maybe 5.5. I don't know. 5.5 to 6.5 is where I'd put it. And I would think that tomorrow night will help bring it all together in a good way. But speaking of Night 2, I'll go ahead and get my predictions going for that. Prediction time, baby. All right, where do we start? I guess we start with what's going to start the show. Obafemi and Brock Lesnar. We found out yesterday that this match will kick off tonight, which I'm both happy and sad about, right? Because based off of what we saw on Night 1, this thing's probably going to be 5 to 10 minutes most. And, I mean, Brock matches usually aren't that long, but we're all expecting some sort of matchup of colossal titans, and it's not going to be that, right? It's going to be some sort of Oba ass beating or something. I don't know. It's gonna be fun while we're watching it. It's gonna be a spectacle while we're watching it, and it's ultimately gonna end up with Obafemi winning this match. This is probably the most softball prediction the company could have given me. I don't know why they would have Brock win here under any circumstances, but then again, I don't know why they had Brock end the streak a decade ago, and they did anyway. So. I guess you can't ever tell with Brock Lesnar, but Obafemi, we know where they're going with Obafemi. That guy will be a main eventer next year. I promise. Like, that's how good he is. That's how he's already been presented. And so this match at WrestleMania is going to do nothing but boost him up. He's so over with the crowd. He's everything you'd want. He's the complete package. And so he's going to beat Brock Lesnar. 100%. Brock Lesnar will be happy to do that, I would imagine. Maybe. And then we have our 6-pack ladder match for the WWE Intercontinental Championship. Intercontinental Championship. Penta will be defending his championship against Javon Evans, Dragon Lee, JD McDonough, Rusev, and Rey Mysterio. Now, ladder matches on paper, you would think are hard to predict because 6 is harder than 2, certainly. But, again, when you think about all the creative directions of all 6 of these guys, the only person I could see winning this championship besides Penta retaining it is Javon Evans. If they want to shoot that kid to the moon, they can do it. I don't think there would be any complaints. There would be no issues. That kid can go. And Rusev dominated everybody on Raw. That seems a little too obvious, right? I think they're trying to bait and switch me by showing that, hey, Rusev destroyed everybody on Raw. That means he's got the best chance. That's not true. That means they're all just going to gang up on him, right? All the opposite. So I don't think Rusev's going to win. JD McDonough certainly isn't going to win. God bless his soul. And Rey Mysterio, I mean, he's an icon. He's a legend. But does he need an IC title at this point? Right? I don't know. I don't think so. So that really narrows down my options. Dragon Lee, okay, you could. But I think Dragon Lee needs to work on character a little bit more. To me, he's just another luchador. To me, he's got to differentiate himself like Penta has. Or even, hell, I'll even give El Grande Americano credit, because at least he's not a generic luchador. He has a character. He has something. So, anyway, I don't think it'll be Dragon Lee. It'll ultimately end up, if I'm to make a choice, it'll be Penta. I think Penta retains. Maybe they give it to Javon Evans, but I think they're saving that big rookie moment for Trick. I think that Penta is going to retain here. Ladder matches historically have the champion retain. Sometimes it changes. That's not all the time, but historically, chances are the champion will retain in a ladder match. But that's under Vince booking, so, I mean, I'm not under TKO booking. Jade Cargill and Rhea Ripley. I've been on the fence about this, but I think based off of what we heard on WrestleMania Night 1 with Bianca Belair becoming pregnant, that changes everything about what I was thinking about this match, because we found out earlier that Bianca Belair was expecting a child, or is expecting a child, which is great news for her and Montez Ford. I'm super happy for them. If you've watched their show on Hulu, it's something that Bianca has wanted for a long time now, so I'm glad she's able to finally get to start her family. But the point is that when I first saw her come back, I thought, oh, she's going to fight Jade now. She's going to fight Jade. You got to find a way to get her with Jade instantly. But that's when that's before I found that out. So now this puts this into perspective. Now this puts the whole match into perspective. They could go either way. They really could. And I don't necessarily think this WrestleMania will be Rhea Ripley's WrestleMania. She's had plenty of WrestleManias where she's been successful, won titles. I don't think this is the year. I'll tell you why. Because ultimately they just started this faction with B-Fab and Michin, and if Rhea is to beat Jade right now, that kind of just makes their presence there I don't know. What the hell was I trying to say there? Useless, right? They have to serve some sort of role. And to have a one-off kind of alliance for WrestleMania, just to have Rhea win a title is just, I don't know. If you care at all about Meechin or B-Fab in your faction, you should have Jade Cargill win this championship. Or not win it, but retain it. I think Jade is probably going to be the one to retain the title here. I think they like Jade. I think, or in charisma-wise, she's got it down. Wrestling-wise, she's still working on it ultimately. We're all still working on it. I'm still working on being a better podcaster, right? So it's never something you're perfect at, but ultimately, I think Jade's gonna retain here. They do like Jade. They've liked Jade since he's been there, and Rhea's had her time in the sun, right? She'll get her time. God, she's only one of the most popular in the company. She'll get her time. I just don't think it's tonight. I don't think it's night 2 of WrestleMania 42. Sami Zayn and Trick Williams. This is a give me for Trick Williams. Everything is on his side. The fans are on his side. The momentum's on his side. The booking's on his side. Quite literally everything's on his side. Sami Zayn, as much as I love the guy, has had no steam recently. There's been no steam. And part of me is just really wishing that they would just turn him heel already. Like, he would instantly be a lot better. But I just think he's hitting plateaus and brick walls because there's only so much you can take that character that he keeps bringing us every week. There's only so much you can do with it without changing it, without improvising it, without making some sort of change. And so, ultimately, I think Sami needs to lose here to get a reset. I think we need a reset. I think Sami Zayn needs a reset, and I think it happens at WrestleMania. I think Trick Williams is going to have a WrestleMania moment for himself in his first year. He will become a United States champion. He already has become TNA World Champion. I can't imagine that he won't keep winning titles. The guy's going to be the future. The kid's got everything it takes. And so this is probably one of the more softballs out of the card. I can't imagine Sami walking away from this one. And if he does, I don't think a lot of people are going to be too happy with it. Me included, honestly. As much as I love him. I think tonight's the night, man. I think tonight's the night we see Trick Williams get that title. The Demon Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio. I would feel like this is another softball. Unless you want to completely kill the demon gimmick. Dominic Mysterio in no way, shape, or form should be winning this match. Based off of what we know about the demon, right? When Finn Balor puts on that face paint, he is another person. Meaning, in the matches we've seen him, he's a little better, right? He's supposed to be a stronger version of Finn Balor. He's supposed to be Finn Balor at his absolute best. And over the last few times they've used it, he's lost, right? So that's what I mean. You got to use it very sparingly, and only when you want to give Finn Balor a win. Because this is a match that's laid up for him to win. If he were to lose this match after the Demon came back for the first time in years, then I would retire it forever if I were Finn Balor. He needs to win this match. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Dominic Mysterio is going to be just fine. He is a star. That guy is a star. He is not going to have his career ruined if he loses to Finn Balor here at WrestleMania. Especially not the Demon. Who's going to beat the Demon other than Roman Reigns? And a broken turnbuckle. Oh, God, I'll never forget that. That was so weird. That was one of the weirdest endings I've ever seen to a match. But overall, again, I think the Demon's got everything that it takes to win this thing. And if they've got any love for that character and for that gimmick, he is to beat Dominic Mysterio tonight. Point blank, period. And then, ladies and gentlemen, we get to our creme de la creme, the main event, the big time match. The match I'm most excited for out of this entire card, night 1 and night 2. Roman Reigns and CM Punk. The time has come to make that ultimate decision. I have been fence sitting on this for weeks. I don't know who is going to win. There are multiple realistic avenues for both guys. Based off of what I saw night 1, because you have to think about the Crown Jewel pay-per-view. The Crown Jewel pay-per-view, when you take your 2 top champions from both brands and they go against each other, realistically, those avenues could have been Punk and Randy, or Punk and Cody, or, Punk and, I don't know, whoever else on SmackDown. The point is, we were expecting probably something else out of night 1 than we imagined. So now that we have Cody Rhodes going into God knows when, now we have to think of a top heel for him to go against when it comes time for Crown Jewel. And Roman Reigns kind of checks that box. Not in a full way, but there's obvious history with Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. History that is far documented, one of the greatest histories in sports, or not sports entertainment, sports entertainment, WWE in general, one of the better storylines. But Roman and Cody at Crown Jewel could happen as a result of WrestleMania. And as a result of that has helped me tip the scales towards Roman Reigns. I believe that the WWE is going to want to try and replicate that same success that was going on when Roman Reigns was champion. And it's not that I'm against Roman Reigns being champion. I just don't think we need to do a rehash of what we did before. Right? We have a babyface Roman now. A tweener-ish Roman now. So I think Roman should start to be doing more things on his own, because then at that point, a title run with him would be fun. Right? A babyface title run as the tribal chief. That on paper sounds intriguing. So I'm willing to explore that. But I could see them going with Punk, right? Because what can you say about Punk that's bad, right? Other than these God-checkered past. But he's one of the best in the world, too. He's not the best in the world. He calls himself the best in the world. But, who am I to say that, right? Point is, I don't know who's going to win this thing. I still don't, really. It could go either way. It really could. But ultimately, by just a slight margin, I'm going to go with Roman Reigns here. I'm gonna say Roman Reigns wins the World Heavyweight Championship off of the potential, just based off of the pure potential that we'll see Cody and Roman down the line at Crown Jewel. But that's that for now. That's all I know for now. Those are my predictions for now. I was mostly wrong last night, so chances are I could be mostly wrong tonight, but we'll see. We'll see overall how we did. Oh my god, I just dropped something. But anyway, guys, I'd like to thank you very much for joining me on this episode of the Wrestling Report, the WrestleMania Night 1 report. And I will catch you all tomorrow night, baby, for night 2.